What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Codec. We are joined today by a lively crew here. We got the entire Codec crew back. We've got the lead singer from Low Roar joining us today. Since Yong set this up, I'm going to let him take care of all the intros. Yong, it's good to have you back on the show. Take it away, buddy.
How's it going, everybody? It's Yong here, and welcome to our interview with Ryan Karazijah. We're really happy to have you here, man. I've got to say, I'm really glad I found your band. You guys do some really great work. Your music's very unique, I think, and a lot of people are curious about the process behind how you make your music and whatnot, so we're really excited to have you here. And we have also got Ronin here, of course.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Alex, aka KorruptRonin here, and thank you to all the fine folks for joining us today on this awesome episode of the Codec. And thank you, Ryan, for joining us as well. We definitely appreciate you taking the time out to talk with us about your music and a little bit behind the process that went behind the Death Stranding trailer as well. So it's going to be a good show today, guys. Let's kick this one off.
Yes, indeed.
Definitely.
So, my first question to you is just tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Ryan Karazijah, and how did you get into music?
Okay, so yeah, my name is Ryan Karazijah. I'm a 34-year-old man. How did I get into music? I got into music, I think, around the time when I was around 16. Mm-hmm. I stumbled upon the guitar. I was always really interested in music, but when I was growing up, it wasn't really the cool thing around the kids that I was doing around. They were more into like sports and different things, and playing a musical instrument wasn't at the top of the list. Mm-hmm. But I was always really interested in it. And then when I was 16, I started playing the guitar, and then I started, you form a band, nobody wants to sing, and then I was just like, okay, I'll sing, and then it just kind of grew from there. And then I started basically writing songs right away, really bad songs, and it was a progression. And then I moved to Iceland in 2010. I was sitting around it, and I decided to kind of start writing songs, or to write a record of some sort, and just start fresh. And
at 10 years old.
No, 2010.
Oh, 2010.
Yeah, I wish it was 10. Yeah. So I was a bit older than 10, but and I started writing, and then my friend Andrew got in contact with me, and he asked me what I was up to. I sent him about 4 songs. I said, I think I'm writing a record, and he listened to it and was like, holy shit, this is great. You know what? I'm going to start a record label. I don't know. I probably can't pay you, but I'll make, physical copies of it. We'll digitally release it. Mm. And I wasn't planning on doing anything with it anyways, so this was great. And and he'll mix it for free. So awesome. Which is great. Me and Andrew, it's so funny. He's one of my best friends, closest friends, but I still never really know what he's actually doing. Like, I just saw a post today that he mixed the new Green Day album or something, and
oh wow.
But we don't talk about this. It's just like we talk about what we're doing, but never about this other stuff. But yeah, so I mean, to have him mix it was great, and then he became the label. I did the first one it was a kitchen record, and then the next one we moved up into a garage, and now we're recording in actual studios. So
Awesome.
So now I'm, as of 3 weeks, we'll be done with the third album. But it's not like I'm not working continuously like for the 3 weeks. We're doing like 5 days in 3 weeks. We're doing the last 5 days. So I've done like 4 days of work in Mexico City. I did 10 days of work in London, and then we have 5 more, and then we have 3 days in Wales, and then we're done with the third album.
A world tour, awesome. Basically.
Right.
Yeah, awesome. I thought it would be really exciting to make. I wanted to kind of break the stereotype that everybody thought that because of the way these 2 last albums sounded, that it was because they were made in Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I found that one of the places that most thought that was here in Mexico. And so I wanted to do the prettiest, most Icelandic sounding stuff here in Mexico, and kind of to break the stereotype of that you can only make this music if you're there, you know.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So
That's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So yeah, that's kind of the whole story behind this, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's awesome.
sorry that took so long.
Oh, no, it's fine.
No. All right, go ahead, Ronan.
All right, so you talked a little bit about you moving to Iceland and things like that, but I was kind of curious about what your experience in Iceland has affected perhaps the music you made in your first album.
Yeah. Well, I think overall it was just the change. It wasn't necessarily that I was in Iceland. It was I had removed myself from my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. From a place that I had known my entire life till I was 20 years old, and lived into a completely foreign place on a small island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. That was speaking a completely basically anything that I had, all of my education, basically everything that I had obtained up until that point disappeared the minute I got into that island.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't speak Icelandic. But I mean, I can get a job at a coffee house, but I ended up working like some shit jobs, which I guess were, if you were in the States, it would be considered a shit job. But then it also was really humbling because these weren't shit jobs when you go there. They're just normal jobs.
Right.
But if you were in the States, somebody would look at you and be like, oh, like he's probably uneducated and this is a shit job. But I was working with people that, were educated and were great and were doing these jobs. It was just what needed to be done.
Right.
So I was working I remember when I was making the first record, I was working from 6 at night to 6 in the morning, like 5 days a week. And then the next week it switched to 6 in the morning to 6 at night. Mm-hmm. And it always sucked because if you worked the one where it goes to Friday, you get off at 6 in the morning on Saturday. So you sleep all Saturday. But then on Monday you start at 6 in the morning, so you really don't get a break.
Weekend.
That one's always. But I was making the album, and Andrew was sending me back the mixes, and it was in a factory, and it's like a recycling factory, basically taking these big pieces of plastic that the fishermen were bringing in, and shredding it down and making it into tiny pellets. And I was doing that, like I was driving around forklifts and shit. Like I don't know how to, it's in Iceland, too. So like it's different. Like if you go on I went on like a snorkeling trip through this little. It's basically where the two plates, the North American and the European plate, meet, and there's and it's all this glacier runoff. So it's really cold, but you can snorkel and it's really clear water.
Oh wow.
And at the end of the trip, the guy goes to like a cliff, and he's like, "All right, if you want to dive off, dive off." And this is a tour. If somebody gets fucked up or hurt, it's on them. Okay. But if you do this in the U.S. and somebody gets hurt, you're going to get sued. The company's going to get sued. It's going to go. Yeah. But this doesn't happen in Iceland. And this is the same thing. It was like, oh, I didn't need a license to really drive the forklift or anything. It's just like, all right, get in. This is what you do. Like, I'm like, and I was like this skinny little kid and like, driving around. Yeah, but I was doing this while I was making that record, and I think it was just. It wasn't the fact that it was in Iceland. It was the fact that I had just removed myself from my comfort zone, and I think that fed into this. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of going on. It was a struggle for me to find a job. Yeah. Iceland was going through a major crisis at the time. They had the country had gone bankrupt, so it was hard enough for people that were living there to find jobs or to find work. And then all of a sudden, some foreign kid from California moves there and wants to find a job. It wasn't so easy,
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things that fed in, and that affected my relationship. Like it's not that we hated each other or anything, but when it's tough money wise or different things, and it's been a few months, things get tough. Get people get mean towards each other. Not, sure. So stuff was happening, and it affected my life, and that fed into the album.
Out of curiosity, what made you move to Iceland? What made you take such a risk?
I got married.
Ah.
Simple answer.
I see. I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't hear that all the time. People from California getting married and moving to Iceland. That's a
Yeah.
unique story within itself,
Yeah.
Yeah. I married an Icelandic girl.
right? So, my question for you is, I kind of want to know about the formation of Low Roar. How did it come together, and why Low Roar? What is the name of this band kind of mean to you guys, and how did you kind of come up with it?
Okay, so start with the name because that came before the other people playing.
Right.
So I realized that I was making a record, and I was about 5 or 6 songs in. And my life had completely changed when I moved because my ex-wife, had a son. So all of a sudden I had a responsible parent role. You know, I was waking up, taking him to school, picking him up from school, trying to work this job and trying to make this record. And I remember I got a night off or something, and I think he went with it to his dad's, and my ex-wife went to her family's. So I went out and met some friends, and we got drunk or whatever, and I came home, and there's a big time difference between California and Iceland. It's 8 hours.
Yeah.
So I had gone online, and my friend John was on, and I don't remember, we were talking, and this girl had sent me this photo, and I just wrote to my friend John, what do you think about this, like, and I wrote Low Roar. I said, what do you think of that? Like, this is like an idea of thing. And he's like, sounds cool. I was like, all right, then that's just I'm gonna call it. And that was it. So, and the photo that I got was the photo with the deer and the birds.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right,
from one of the
yeah.
album
So I don't
covers,
know if it was because like I was intoxicated and I looked at it and something happened, but I don't know.
It just came to you, like the
Right.
words "Low Roar" just sort of came to you, in the moment.
Yeah, and it's really it's a tough name, I think, for Icelanders to say.
Oh,
because
is
they
it?
roll their R's so much, and it's like double R, you know. So it's like
Low
it sounds like low, you know, like to them, like. And I remember I told my ex-wife, I said, "What do you think of this?" And she's like, "Oh, this is a tough one for Icelandic people to say, or something like this." And but then I thought visually, like it looked nice, and when I put it underneath that photo, I thought it just worked. So. But anyways, then I made that album just in my kitchen. So there was no members. It was just me, and then my friend Andrew was mixing it.
Yeah.
And then I had to perform. And then like it kind of grew, and then there was some people that wanted us to perform. So I found like another guy to play with. That kind of ended, and then I decided I had this festival booked, and I asked my ex-wife's cousin if he'd play with me, and we got together and rehearsed, and then we kind of just stuck together, and then after we did the second album, we knew we needed somebody else, and I met this guy Lever through my friend Mike, and showed him the album after we were done, and we started rehearsing together, and then it formed like that. But I don't know how it's going to be anymore. Like I did this whole new record alone again.
Oh.
Maybe mainly because this one's like probably the most personal and miserable to date.
I see.
But not meaning that the whole thing is like slow and sad, but I mean, there's definitely beats and stuff, but lyrically, it's the most, it's the deepest and darkest one I've done. And I guess I didn't know how to bring 2 other people into that, because it's not like we're a band like Sigur or something. We get together and we all jam together and we create a song. It doesn't happen like that. Like Loy has his day job and his girlfriend and his everything. Labor has his job with his work with his wife and his kid and everything, and I'm like the single one that doesn't have any of that. So like and since I'm doing all the writing, it kind of it's just around my life, and
Gotcha.
can't really get in the room and jam about that. Like I kind of have to
Right. Yeah, that makes
figure
sense.
it out.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
I don't know where it's going to be the next album. I don't even know if the guys are going to be playing with me on the next album. And I actually haven't told anybody that, but I've invited them to come for some of the recordings, and it's nothing bad or nothing really. It's just like they've got stuff to do and different things.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm gonna basically finish it, and then of course, these are the guys I would love to play with. If they want to do the touring for the next year with me, then we'll do it. If not, then I have to find people that want to tour all year. But
Well, that's interesting.
yeah.
Tough.
So
That's always one of the more fascinating and curious things when you're talking about bands and musicians is kind of how it forms and how it comes together. And I think that's a pretty unique, story from the drunk kind of taking of the band name and then bringing a person in and then another person in and then now they're both out. Like, that's pretty unique. So, next question, buddy.
Speaking of your music, for those who maybe haven't listened to Low Roar, how would you describe your music to them? Like, would you classify it in a certain genre? What would you tell them if somebody asked, "What's Low Roar? Why should I listen to it?"
So I'm in Mexico City. There's actually a lot of people that know us here in Mexico City.
Wow.
But I've got asked this question at least twice yesterday. And I always say the same thing. I just say it's really sad, boring shit that you don't even want to listen to. So don't bother. Don't even worry about it. No, I don't know. That's like a really tough question for me because this album, I think you can take a string and like go through every song and it's cohesive and it makes sense as a whole. But I wrote like piano pieces for this that are 6 minute long with no lyrics and like slow pieces, and then we have stuff that has like probably the heaviest beats that we've put on any of the albums, and then I don't know. It's
a very personal kind of
music, yeah. It's
just
just like I'm not scared of. How do I say it? Like, I don't feel like I have to stick in one place.
Yeah.
Okay.
For anything, I kind of just put the whole reason this music, to it is just to, in a way, in expressing, I guess, how I'm feeling, and I need it to bleed through.
Yeah.
Through that, like, so if this is supposed to be a really sad, heavy song, I'll use the instruments and the instrumentation and the arrangements of stuff to make the person feel that. That's my goal to do it. So it doesn't matter if I need to use beats, or if I need to like not use beats, if I need to use trombones, if I need to.
Right.
So I have a hard time classifying what it is. Like some people think it's like, some people like it's folk, electronic, something. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I'm not
sure. I think that's what makes your music so unique. The fact that you can't quite classify it because it feels sort of unique to you. It feels personal. So I think that's part of the reason why I personally am so drawn to your style of music, which is great. So just keep doing what you do, man.
Thanks. Yeah. I think I like when I've been here now. I don't ever tell anybody that I'm a musician. I just always say I'm like a writer, because I'm not learning. I'm not playing the guitar to be the best guitar player in the world. I'm not playing a piano to be the best piano player in the world, or any of these instruments that I know, to be the best at it, or to be the fastest, or it's all just tools for the songs,
for expression and stuff.
Yeah. So I just like, that's why it's a songwriter. That's what I feel like.
I see.
Not a singer, not this. Just I'm a writer.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that. Go ahead, Ronan.
All right, so we talked a little bit about what ways you could classify your style of music, and a lot of people that have listened to your albums and stuff like that have described your music as having a very somber like feel to it. So I was kind of curious if there were any sort of inspirations you took from that, or if it was just more along a personal thing from your life experience that decided the way you wanted the style of your music to feel.
No, like I was saying, like these. I mean, as much as I try to pull away from that, and never ever. I think I did that a bit when I was on the first album because I didn't want anybody to feel bad, and so I sometimes would say, "Oh, you know, some of these songs are not always about me, but around things that I've seen with other people or different things."
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's kind of bullshit. They're all really personal to me, and they're all kind of about what's going on with me.
I see.
That makes sense.
So it being somber, we already talked about like the first record, the things that went into it. You know, like like moving to a new place. There's a language barrier, not being able to find a job, which affects the relationship. Also, you leaving things behind that you've known your whole life for 28 years, and then it's not there anymore.
Right.
So that all fed into it. And then there's the second one. And then at the end of the second one, I was going through a divorce. And it was just about to happen, but I'd finished the writing.
Right.
So this is the first album, this third one, since I sensed the divorce and since things have happened since then. And I actually thought this was going to be a happy record at first, but the first song, because I remember I sent it to my friend Pete, and he was like, "Wow, this sounds really actually like uplifting and a little bit hopeful." But that all turned to shit. That one, straight the opposite direction. Because my friend Mike, who's working with me in England, he wrote me yesterday saying, "Congrats, mate. This is your most miserable to date." So. You know, but it's all, this one's really personal to me, and so I guess that's somber. But I have a hard time writing happy songs, anyways. And sometimes I wonder. I read this great interview with Sufjan Stevens, and he was talking about how he thinks, like subconsciously, he fucks with his own life and plays with it before albums to create. So he kind of, and he was talking about how it wasn't right, but maybe he intentionally messes with it. And I was thinking about it because I was so happy before I was going to start this record. And I was thinking about it the other day because something had happened with me and this girl that I was dating that I was really in love with. And this whole time I thought that she had messed it up. And then I started, like lately I've started to think like, well, did I like subconsciously fuck with my life a little bit just so I could make a record?
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah, and so yeah, but it's all. So yeah, that's it.
No, that's totally fine. I think it's really interesting to hear some things like that, because you hear a lot of people talk about, you know, how different musicians are their inspiration and things like that, but to have someone say that it's a bit more personal and, you know, thinking subconsciously about how perhaps the things that have happened in their life affects their music as well, it gives a new perspective on what sort of musicians are out there and how it inspires them as well to create the music that they do.
Yeah. No, I don't write with this project. I wanted it to be as honest. I just wanted this to be like a completely honest project. I didn't want to sing a song about making love to some girl, or like even if it was bad, or like some kind of breakup that wasn't true.
Right.
Like I thought like, and I feel like that with this is the reason why that first album really lots of people got attached to it was because it was completely honest, and I really think that people can see through bullshit and feel it when it's honest, and I think that's really what helped that album, because it was an honest album, and so I don't know, that's what I've always wanted to do with this project, and if I don't have anything to say, then I'm not going to say anything. I won't put out a record.
Yeah,
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. All right. Well, my next question for you, it's a little bit off the path here. Considering our show is a voice actor interview show, you're a singer, and my question was, have you ever thought about doing voiceovers? Since you're a singer, you've obviously got a good vocal range. You can hear that across the different albums, and especially in just the mix of music from this latest one. Have you ever thought about doing, games, animations, any kind of TV shows, anything like that?
No.
No, not at all.
but I mean, actually, now that you say it, like this small studio I did this thing at yesterday, they do a lot of that. So they have people that come in and do the vocals for the books, you know,
Right.
like the audio books. They do, and this is kind of a thing that helps keep that studio alive. You know, they have other things, but these audio books are always coming in. So I was listening to a girl do it the other day, and I was thinking, wow, she's got like a great voice for these books. But no, yeah, I mean, no, have I thought about doing it? No, I haven't thought about it. Would I be opposed to it? No, it doesn't. I was just thinking about this. You know, Mark Hamill, like he does a bunch of that shit, right?
Yeah.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I don't know why I was thinking about that. Oh, I know why. I was watching episode 4, A New Hope. I was watching it again.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I started to think. I was like, oh yeah, what's he?
He
What's
plays
up to? And I was
Joker
like,
now.
oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's
crazy.
right. That's right. That's what he does. Yeah. Okay. So because he got in that bad car accident, like between the first and the second movie, or the fourth and fifth, right? And his like face got all messed up. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Like
No.
if you see him,
Yeah.
if you
Did this
see,
happen?
That's
yeah,
that's why they did the
Yeah.
slash on his face in the winter scene.
in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, in Empire
Yeah,
Strikes.
Gotcha.
The winter
He-
scene.
like right away, because he was in LA and he tried to change lanes from like the far left lane all the way off into an exit and like tore his face up.
Yeah.
If you look
So,
at him
yeah,
from the first one to the second, yeah.
Huh.
They wrote that into the movie for him. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Great.
Yeah.
But I think that's you know, since our show kind of centers on voice acting and voice talent, you obviously have some, and I was just curious if you had ever thought of other mediums, you know, to get your voice out there. So I mean, obviously nothing was expected, but you know, if it's something that you would like to do, would you prefer to do like the books, or would you like to do like a game or like a show?
I think a game or a show, not the books.
Okay. Very good.
not the books, but like yeah, that would be really fun, I think. But yeah, I haven't thought about it. I guess if everything goes to shit with the music thing, then maybe I can do that.
They're good side
Check it out.
projects.
Yeah. So I mean,
Definitely. Young, your next question, buddy.
Yeah, so next up I want to talk about something that a lot of gamers are curious about, and that's, of course, your partnership with Kojima. I think, you know, all your work paid off because this man I mean, the trailer blew up, and I think half the trailer is basically your song, I'll Keep Coming, which is, again, so different from anything people have heard, and it just, the way it was edited in the trailer and whatnot, it was really compelling. And so I just want to talk to you about, just ask you, how did this song come to be featured in the trailer? What was the process behind that? How did this begin, and how did events lead up to this trailer?
okay. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to be completely honest.
Okay.
And I haven't talked about this at all, but he's a fantastic man. Me and when we met, I think we had a great time. We really got along, and I respect him a lot. And I know the games he'd done, but I didn't know this was the guy.
Okay.
So basically, there's stuff that happens that I don't hear about. It goes through
Right.
management, label, I don't even know about. So on the last record, I think that the label and the management were hoping that we were going to get more placements for the songs. People were, you know, always like, oh, this is perfect music for a movie or for this, and nothing really happened. There was a few things, but nothing big happened. So I think Sony had contacted the band a while back, and they said, hey, we want to use this song, but we can't tell you what it's for, and this is what we're going to give you.
Of course.
That's so
Yeah.
Kojima.
Yeah. And Amy messaged me, I think something about like Sony, and I can't remember what I was doing. I was probably driving. I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, let's just fucking do it. Like, paying back the costs for making the record and whatnot. So then I'm on the couch with my mom, and I'm watching. I'm pretty sure it was when the Warriors were playing Oklahoma.
Okay.
And I got a message from this girl that I know that's half Polish. I think she's half Polish, half Japanese, and she was like, "Oh, hey, this is great. I just saw this thing, and you're in this trailer, like blah blah blah." And I was watching the game. I was into the game, like because the Warriors were, which is my team, were down like three games to 1 or something. And they were like, if they lost, like this was it. So she messaged me like, "This is great," like blah blah blah, and I was like, "Oh, cool, whatever." Put the phone down. And then I started to get messages from other people, and then Amy messaged me the next day, and she said, "Hey Ryan, you need to come down." I was visiting my sister had a baby, and we were up in San Francisco, and she said, "Hey Ryan, you need to drive down to LA in like 2 days. Hideo this guy wants to meet you. He's in LA, and we're gonna have like a thing and blah blah blah." And I was familiar with the games he did. I guess I just wasn't. I hadn't clued into what was actually happening. Really, I was just
Right.
Saw it on my phone, so I was like, "Amy, I don't want to drive like 5.5 hours. Can't you just go?" and then her, she wrote back. She said, "Jim, who's her husband," she said, "Jim says you're a fucking idiot." and then I was like, all right. So then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay, holy shit, like cool. I didn't realize what it was for. And then so I drove down, and then I realized the importance of this. And then we went and we had dinner in like a really over the top fancy place. And I remember we were talking, me and him, about it. Just how uncomfortable we both were at this really fancy place. Like, is it Russell Simmons, the guy that owns Def Jam? Is that him? Russell Simmons,
so.
He was like sitting next to us, you know, and there was nothing but like Lamborghinis and like different things in this like place. You have to have like some membership to eat at this place.
Jeez.
And we were both kind of laughing, like, 'cause he was in like some video game T-shirt. I was wearing a T-shirt and jeans. Yeah. And then everybody else is all like dressed up and like these girls at the bar, and it was great though. We got along really well, and then I'm gonna go to Japan, and we're gonna, like, we talked about hanging out in Japan a bit, it was really nice, and it was nice because like I brought him a bunch of stuff from the band with the albums, and he brought a bunch of cool little limited stuff for us, and we changed and signed for each other, and we had a few drinks and ate, and it was great. But he found it because he was in line in a little tiny record store in Iceland, and we were the song was playing on the speakers, and he heard this like that sound.
Right.
And then he was like, "What's this?" And he bought the album, and then he said he listened to it on the plane, and then he knew that he wanted the song for the thing.
That's crazy.
And that's how it happened with that. And it was kind of funny too, because then he was like, "Yeah, this," and he shows me a picture. He's like, "Yeah, this we just got off this tour, going around Iceland, and the guy took us to this record store." And when he shows me the picture, of course, the guy who took him to this record store is like a guy that I'm friends with, named Gilby. And so it's like, that's how small Iceland is, you know?
Right.
That's how it happened. And then
that's crazy.
The stars
really
aligned
awesome.
in ways.
That is
You gotta
awesome.
think the logistics that go behind him being in that store while
exactly the right time.
while your song was playing.
Yep.
at that, and the same song he used, that same exact thing. And it was
Exact
just,
same song.
That-
That's
yeah,
crazy.
so
That's pretty neat.
Divine
Yeah.
providence.
yeah. So that's the real story of how it actually happened. And we didn't have a talk about it, and it's really funny because there's been a few videos that have been I saw on YouTube. My sister was sending me, like, the people are saying our relationship has gone beyond that, you know, and like tying it in, like, oh, look at the cover of this album, and look at the front of this game, and the way these strings go down. And then we were even joking about it because in the album, we didn't have a budget for the second album, so I just was at some little convention, and this robot drew a picture of me. I turned sideways and it would take a picture, and the robot drew it, and it did these strings down the thing.
Wow.
And then he has this the Death Stranding thing, which has all these
Has
strings.
like
down it.
strands and strings.
Yeah,
Exactly. And there was no tie together with it. It just we both actually laughed about it, like how it worked. But people are now making these things like, oh yeah, like this, and then they have a song called Phantoms, and it's
and then
affiliated with
Phantom Pain.
Phantom, and it's Zero, and like this, and like all this stuff. But it's not. There was nothing before it. It's just.
That is crazy.
All
Because
coincidence.
that was one of the things I was going to ask you, and one of my questions was going to be the album Zero, the strings. What does it all mean?
Yeah.
Like, is there a connection? And it just you sort of happen to come by this robot who draws, but
Exactly.
it works so perfectly with Death
Something in
Stranding.
the cosmos
and
were
just-
working big
Right,
time
this-
for this.
Yeah, it's really weird. And the whole reason the name is Zero, the album, I said I was never going to name a lower album. I didn't want to ever give it a name. I wanted everything to be self-titled.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put it up on iTunes now, you have to have some kind of title.
Right.
Right.
So I was like, I don't want to title the album. And then Amy well, we just do like a 0 or like an O or something, just like a symbol. And then that's how it became this, but it wasn't.
Wow.
It wasn't thought out, So.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
so
man.
funny that all these coincidences are just so matter of fact.
I
Like,
know. So it's
really
funny
awesome.
watching these videos like that people are posting, like
Yeah.
they break it apart, and like they even said that I think there was like a face somebody pointed out that was like in the corner of my neck, but it's not. Like I have the original drawing. It was like it was an actual robot arm that would take a pen and draw, and it spits out like the little piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I still have it, but yeah, there was none of that.
Wow.
Sorry.
These
That's
cosmos are
That's
crazy,
amazing.
man.
That is
I should have
amazing.
stuck with it. I should have came up with a
Yeah.
better story than that. Damn.
Definitely. Ronan, you're next, buddy.
Sure. So you talked a little bit about, what your time was like with Kojima, but I was kind of curious about what your first reaction was when you met him and what your impressions of him were. You're brutally honest. No, you're just your impression.
Yeah. I was actually, I don't get nervous really, and I don't know why I felt. Well, basically, I think I know why I got nervous. Well, Amy had basically, our manager, booked a table for, I think, 6 people.
Mm.
And she got a call because they got there a little early. And the reservation was wrong. It was actually going to be like 9 people.
Oh, wow.
And at this place, you can't fuck that up because everything's so tight. It's like, okay, if you made that mistake, like you're not going to get a table for 9 people.
Right.
So, but they had this other area where you get like this. It's like this special menu. So, but
VIP?
It's not the VIP menu. It's like in the other place where we booked it, like in the downstairs, we would get like more options. Where if we move up and we sit in this place where they had open, you get like just a couple options and that's it,
Okay.
But they ended up having something open there, and then we had to rush and get over there, and then Hideo, he speaks a little bit of English, but he has a translator.
Yeah.
So that was the initial thing, and then you're meeting somebody, and for him, what I ended up taking away at the end is, we're both just like normal dudes, people, and I think for him, he was really happy to meet me, and I was really excited to meet him. So the initial thing was, I think, a little bit shy, and then we had to go through the translator, but then it changed within a few minutes. But I was a little bit, and this is out of my. I drove all day, like 6 hours, went over to Amy's, had a drink, then found out we were late, rushed over. So, I was a bit like anxious, my day had just been going. But then it eased in. We had drinks and we talked and had good food and laughed a bunch. And he asked about how I made certain sounds on that song and different things. And he showed me. He had his iPad, so he showed me all the pictures that they were doing when they were doing the work with Norman Reedus when like they were
Right.
so he was going through
The
all the
motion
photos.
capture.
So
Yeah.
he showed me like hundreds of photos of this
That's cool.
and I know when the game's coming out and all this stuff, and I can't tell you guys because he made me
Wait.
swear.
You know when the game's coming out?
Yeah,
Oh man.
Oh my god.
I can't. I'm not. He told
No,
me,
yeah, of
but
course.
we said I can't say so.
That's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, and then we talked about like different things. I had asked him randomly because I had just watched this documentary, you know, the sushi documentary, this Euro Dreams of Sushi, this Shiro Dreams of Sushi.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
they were talking about places to eat, and I was like, "Hey, have you guys ever eaten there?" And yeah, his crew was really great, and they were like, "No, but we ate at his son's place." And like, "Yeah, it's good, but we'll take you. Like, come and you can stay with us, and we'll take you to better places." And so we're gonna go. I'm gonna go there next year and have a hangout, and then maybe we were also talking about I might just do some stuff where I get into a room with him and just write with him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah,
very
that sounds
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
I think that's one of our questions on the list is if you were going to do any more work, within the game. I guess we'll get to that here in a minute. My next question for you is, have you seen the trailer in its entirety? And if you have, what are your thoughts on the way your music is incorporated into that?
I thought it was great. They I've seen the whole thing. There's a few things that they fool with some of the sounds, but I think they did it really really perfectly. It just it fits really nice. I didn't watch it and go like ugh. I watched it and I thought like this is really great. They did a great job. So I'm proud to be a part of this. You know.
Awesome. All right, Yang, your next question.
Speaking of I'll Keep Coming, tell us a bit about the creative process of this particular song and just what's the inspiration behind it? What does it mean? What is it meant to convey in your own words?
Okay, so Yamaha made a keyboard back in the 80s called a VSS30. Okay. And it was a small little toy kid sampling keyboard. And it has a little speaker in the corner of it, and it has those little speaker-like grill on the front of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's basically like a 4-second sample or something like 5 second, like you can say something like basically you can say like fuck you into it, and then you like fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, but you know that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And if you sing anything into it in the key of A, it matches up like a regular keyboard.
Okay.
So I had it, and I had this like beat, this like, and so I scratched it like, and I sampled it, and then I started playing it, and I went like,
mm-hmm.
And then I built the beat, and then added this bass, and then I already had this melody. I had done the original demo just on an acoustic guitar, but I didn't have the words except for this like "Soon I'll come around" that part,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then but I had all the rest of the melody, and then I started to lay it out, and then that one sound, that weird sound, was just, I took this keyboard and we were listening to the song back, and I put it into the speaker, and I sampled it, the own song, and then when I played it on the lowest note, it made this like, and then we were like, oh shit, that's a cool sound, so we just listened back to the song and then would play it like onto the beat or in between, and then yeah, and then at this part, I was like having a hard time in my relationship, of course, but and kind of didn't know how to fix it or how to express what I was feeling back to this person, and yeah, and then I had yeah, and then it was done.
Yeah. All right.
And then like I had like my friend from Amina, like they were the girls that like were really well known for playing with Sigur Rós during the first basically every tour except for the last one or two. And so I called Maria and I said, asked her about doing some strings on it, and she came up with this plucking arrangement that was like the bum 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 bum.
Oh yeah.
So then she had this idea of like it was in threes, so they would all start to like go around each other, and then she would start playing on it. And so she came in and recorded the part, and then that was that. And sent it
It's
to-
Awesome.
It's like a mix of various elements that just sort of came in from different sources, and it just sort of came together, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like how it goes. Like I could, if I showed you the original demo of it, I mean, it's the same song, but it's just a lot of things happening, which is nice. So.
And what do the lyrics mean? What are you trying to convey with these lyrics?
I can't tell you that.
Really?
It's a secret. You have to whatever you get from that one. That's one of them that like I definitely like leave open. It's just
okay. That's
whatever
fair.
you kind of get from it. I know what I was thinking when I was writing it, but that's one that I think like I kind of left a little bit abstract. So
okay.
There's not much words to it either. You know, it's like really simple. It's just kind of conveying like a little, like there's songs on the first album that have like a lot of lyrics that are really long, and this is just a small. But it's definitely a thing where I was definitely feeling like a bit, beat down by everything that was happening, and maybe trying to make myself feel better. That's in a way that I wasn't going to
give up.
Kind of, yeah.
Like I'll keep coming.
I know that's like, I know that sounds really cheesy. Like that, I don't want that to be.
No.
But it's kind of just like this is. I didn't feel like that was it. You know.
Okay.
Okay. I know you say it's a secret, but by any chance, do you share this like secret, like your thoughts on what you were thinking when the song was being written with Kojima to give him more insight? Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
We didn't talk about that.
Okay.
We talked about the sounds on it and different things like that, but we didn't actually talk about lyrical.
Okay.
He said he said he really liked it, like the lyrics and everything, and then he showed me what his second and third favorite songs from the album were, but that was it. And so,
okay. What were those the second and third song?
One was Easy Way Out, and the other
Easy Way
one was Half Asleep, I think.
Okay, I haven't heard that one. I'll be sure to give that a listen.
Yeah. So
Great.
All right, Ronan,
Interesting.
you're up, buddy.
All right, so we talked a little bit about the fact that the game's debut trailer and your song being in it, but I was kind of curious if with that being a thing now, if the idea of what that song was, I'll Keep Coming, has it changed the way you look at it a little bit, and perhaps the title of the song itself now saying how it relates to that trailer for Death Stranding? Has it given you a new perspective on it, perhaps, when you listen to that song again?
no.
I think
No, it's a simple answer. That's okay.
No,
That's okay.
I think the question's interesting though. If it changes your
it is.
perspective based
Of
on how
course.
other people pick it up.
Yeah, no. Like I watched it and I understand what it's for, but it hasn't changed anything as far as what. And I think probably because at this time we were done touring that album as of November of last year, and then this happened. So it looks super nice and different things, but it didn't change the. I actually like the version on his trailer more than the album version. so maybe it just makes me wish that like we've done some more stuff with the sounds, but he did some cool stuff with the sounds. I wanted to hear it through because I saw some video on YouTube of when they actually got played at what's this convention?
E3.
Yeah, and I think it was in a kind of big hall.
Oh yeah.
With like nice speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so and it made me wish that I could hear it through those speakers, because I'm usually on the other side of them, so I never get to hear it that way. But
Wow.
So it's I wanted to hear it, but somebody took a video and it sounded nice, but that was another thing. But that's about it. But yeah.
That's
All
really
right,
cool.
no problem. All right, well, in the interest of time, this will be my last question. Then I'm going to hand it over to Young and Ronan. I know Young's got a couple more questions for you, and we have some community questions here on our live chat. So I'll hand it over to them. This is my last question for you. Can you tell me just how difficult it is building a song this way? It's obviously not a traditional way as like, a band would make a song. You're taking, different parts and elements and then making a song with them rather than creating a song from, like you said earlier, from guys just jamming out or playing. How difficult and more time consuming is it to make music this way?
So, yeah, I guess I do it two ways, like how you're saying. One this way, and one of just if I have like an acoustic guitar and I'll kind of go through it,
Right.
and when I go in, I know kind of what I want to do. But at that same moment, because I'm writing it alone, I don't always know exactly what I do. Like kind of grab instruments and do different things and experiment with them and see how they sound. This way for me is really exciting, and about half of the new record is that kind of thing where we're just like, okay, I have this melody, I have these lyrics, I know the basic piano part that I want, but like,
right,
I don't know what beat it's going to be. I know about like around the way I want the song to feel. So then you start to, and that can happen. You go in, and then by the end of the day, after the 8-hour day, you have it laid out. Like you have like the beats and the bass and everything. So no, it's not. I don't think it's, for me at least, it doesn't feel difficult. Like there are some times where you get into something and you build and build, and then like at the end of it, you lost something along the way, and you're not exactly.
Okay, yeah.
It doesn't feel like where it should be, or the feeling isn't coming through.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it's worked out for us. Like on this new record, where we kind of got there, and
Yeah.
it didn't take long. Yeah, it would be like a day, and then the next day, we're doing like. I don't spend time on vocals, like as far as like I spend time maybe on the lyrics or something. I do it.
Yeah.
Maybe, but when we do vocals, we just do like 2 like straight takes or something, and then I keep them because I don't want them to be. Feel like if you start to go in and you spend hours and hours, it ends up. It slowly loses its stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like if you play a song like 30 times in a row, like I think you just get worse and worse, and the song you don't mean it as much when you're singing. And since these kind of songs are really personal to me, I feel like if I sing them 30 times, they slowly get further away from that. So we just do them a few times, do the harmonies, maybe do the melodies, and then we've kind of got it. So it's kind of like an exciting, have a break for lunch or something, and then come back in and like just start like with the ideas. Just like, okay, let's grab this and like grab this, and like nothing's really ever a bad idea. Like everything we have to kind of try, because sometimes something that you maybe think wouldn't work out ends up being like really great. So I think it's important to try everything.
Experiment,
Yeah, that's why I think it's interesting. I mean, as a kid growing up, I was in a band, and you would lay out a guitar track, and then you would have your drummer and bass player kind of fill in on there, and then you would add the lyrics later. Here it sounds like you're creating just different elements and then seeing what fits and what works, and you're able to kind of like compose stuff based on just like the way that you want it to be, rather than having it already set in stone.
Right.
Exactly.
Based on one track, which is really neat. That's really cool. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got to ask in terms of vocals, and this is a separate question from the one I have here. The "I'll Keep Coming," is that your voice?
So it's me singing, and then I had this idea. I had bought, I had this bass octave pedal, which is for a bass guitar, and I started running it through my vocals live.
That's cool.
Okay.
And so all it does is that you can hear my normal one, and then I can adjust the output, and it just creates this like underneath it. So I did that, and then it was the like only. This summer sucked in Iceland. It was a terrible summer, weather-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the nicest day. And me and my friend Silla, she sings in a band called Moom in Iceland. I asked her if she would come and sing. So she's singing with me on the song. She came, and it was like, of course, on the only sunny day, we have to like pull each other from like outside having beers in the sun to like a dark garage to sing some songs. Yeah, so if that always works out like that. But yeah. So she sang with me on that.
Awesome. Okay, so the stuff like the "I'll Keep Coming," is that a combination of your two voices?
Yeah, she's not singing any harmony or anything like that. She's just singing straight on top of me, and then there's the octave below me, and then there's me.
Huh?
Yeah,
interesting. Cool. Yeah, it's got this very unique quality, the voice, and I was very curious about that. But my real question is, are you still in communication with Kojima? Do you know if you're going to contribute any more content, like any new songs that you may be writing specifically for Death Stranding, or any songs that are already out there that might also make it into Death Stranding?
I don't know. We'll see.
Ooh. There's not a denial. There's not a no. So.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't talk about it.
Sure.
No worries.
Okay, but it's not a no. So.
NDAs.
All right.
Yeah, NDAs. Ronan, go ahead.
All right, so this will be my last question in the interest of time, because I know Young has got a bunch of community questions as well that we want to get to. So for you, and I tend to like to ask this question to basically almost all the guests that we have on this show. For you, is there anything that you would like to say to those that may be trying to get their feet on the ground in the music industry? Any sort of advice that you would give them, or perhaps a direction that they could go to perhaps, get into doing this kind of thing?
I'm probably really bad with this. No, I just think being like. What?
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna give you some direction with it. Like, let's say we got a guy he's doing the same thing that you were doing. He wanted to record, an album or a CD. Where does he go? Like, how does he get started? What's the best option?
It's kind of like the beauty of nowadays. Like, kind of like how I did even the first record with. Like, I did that first record all in GarageBand, which is just the free program that's in Mac and like a Mac. So nowadays you can. I think it's much easier than like 15, 20 years ago, where you can do it all. You can release it on your own. But I think the wrong way of going into it is ever expecting to get anything back from it. Mm-hmm. You have to do it if you're going to do it. Like, you have to do it because this is like, because you can't help it, because this is what you want to do, and if you're not doing it, you're not happy. If you're going into it because you want to try to be some famous star and make a lot of money, I think the people do that, and sometimes it works for them, but like, I think that's the wrong. For me,
definitely,
yeah.
That's not how I view this thing. And it's just like, for me, it's just I can't help but do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you took this away from me, I'd die. I'd kill myself or something, because like I wake up and I have this desire, the way I see things, or like you like, or like when I see people. Like a cute old couple walking down the street or something. Like, it's not that I look at them and go like, oh, that's a cute old couple, but like see like into it a bit more and how that can work as far as writing. I think if you go, like I said, sometimes it works for people to go in because they just want to be a huge star, and sometimes it works and people buy into it, and that's great for them. But I would just. Kind of like when you give a gift to somebody, like you can't give a gift to somebody and give it expecting something back.
Yes. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
So like, if you're into it and you just don't expect anything back. Just fucking No, fucking record your song.
Yeah, record.
Yeah.
That's
There you go.
great
Just do it.
advice.
Just do it for you, man.
Record
That
your
is- that
stupid
is-
song. I don't want to hear it.
That is great advice. But you know,
There you
and
go.
I think it for you it shows through your music that it's genuine, and I think that's part of the reason why Kojima noticed it. And the stars sort of aligned to everything leading up to this trailer in this crazy way. But I think that is definitely great advice for artists. Like, just it's got to be something you feel, and
Yeah.
and you got to get out in a genuine way. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So Dale, you're
Yep.
good, right? Okay.
Yep, all good. Community
I've
question.
got I've got one last question, and then the community questions. What my final question is: what does the future hold for Low Roar? You said you're working on the new album, and also where can we stay updated on all your work? Where can people go to be updated on what's happening with your new album and whatever future work you might be doing?
So, like I said, by September 5th, I believe, we'll be done with the third album.
Yes.
And I got a message from Amy saying that our booking agent said it must be released by April of next year, so we can start touring. So basically then I had talked to Amy and the different labels, and I said, I don't want to go out now with just showing up to a venue and we have our sound guy and our tour manager and everything, but we're just using the lights that they have there. I was like, I want to bring our own production from now on for this tour. So I'm building the production.
Okay.
And I'll be
That's
working
cool.
with somebody, and it's gonna be really cool. It looks it's really cool. I'm not gonna give it
I'll
away.
look forward to it.
Yeah, but it's a lot of stuff in front of everybody and different things. So projection and different things, and so we'll work on that, and then we'll just do a build up into the release. And I was just talking actually right before I got on with you, and I haven't said this to anybody, but I've been kind of documenting my year. With just through taking pictures on my iPhone, just black and white photos of everything, and of people, because I spent 2 months in Sweden and sometime a few weeks in France, and then I spent now a month and a half in Mexico City, and then I was in Poland for 2.5 months, and I've just been documenting the people along the way and different things I've seen, and maybe doing some kind of special thing right before the album comes out at the start of the year, where we can make something based upon things that I've seen over the year. And but that's what's happening with this. Just trying to figure out the best way to do this, and then we're also going to have a hard time because we also said let's just make a 8-song 40-minute record, and instead we made a 20-song 2-hour record. so then we have to figure out how to I'm all about releasing a double album for the third one. I would love that, but everybody else thinks it's too much information. That's usually the problem with our records. Everybody's like, oh, it was great, but it was 70 minutes long and there's just too much information. So
Right.
and but that's just the way it goes. And then I guess the best way to keep up with us is, like I said, I'm pretty active on the Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
Those are my two major outlets. The thing I don't like about Facebook, though, is everything's so fucking controlled, and so there's I don't know how many thousands of people that are following us, but if I put a post out, it goes to 1/8 or less than that of the people that are following, and it's even all bullshit how it's tied together too, because if I post a picture, and I saw it today, if I post a picture just on my own, not going through Instagram, it never feeds to a bunch of people. But since Facebook owns fucking Instagram, if you post it through Instagram, then the pictures do way better. So I wish I had a better way, and email stuff. We've tried that, but nobody does that anymore either. So that's
newsletter.
So it's just impossible to actually get to everybody that is following,
Sure.
And so but those are the best ways.
Okay, so it's facebook.com/lowroar. Is that it? I think if you look up Low Roar on the Facebook search,
exactly, it comes right up. But I think it's Low Roar Music.
Low Roar Music. Okay.
Something like that. But if you look up Low Roar, it comes right up. Yeah.
All right, definitely. So people, go check it out for sure if you want to be updated on Low Roar. And looking forward to that new album, definitely. And now we're gonna dive into some community questions. A lot of them were sort of answered on the way, so I'm not gonna ask those. But here's one by Art Karazijah from YouTube. How has the release of Death Stranding's trailer affected, influenced, or impacted your band?
I guess besides like YouTube views, I think in the album definitely the sales went up at that time. Besides that, I don't know. Like actually, we didn't even know about stuff in Japan. Like when I was talking to Hideo, he said that like everything is kind of sold out in some of the stores in Japan. Yeah, so I definitely think like now when we go to play in Japan, we'll do okay. But I haven't seen it in that sense. Like if we were on a tour and like doing stuff, then I could have physically seen it. But other than the fact that Andrew messaged me and said, "Hey, the sales went up on this time," and I saw that song specifically went up on YouTube. Other than that, hasn't really changed anything for me personally. But
Sure.
But we'll see. I think it's been it's positive, and we talked about that. I talked about it with him. It's going to be good for us. Like next year, we'll do our first tour into Japan.
Yes.
We'll do like six shows or something, 5 or 6 shows. So
that's cool.
I'm sure it's going to have some kind of impact in the future. But yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Puppets 8 from YouTube asks, what are some other bands or artists that you're inspired by that you think maybe other people like us should check out?
Well, I've been going through this like writing process the last, I guess it's almost a year. And when I do that, I tend to not listen to any music, just so I don't try to pull anything from anything subconsciously. I just kind of I'm working so much on it that when I have my free time, I don't want to hear anything. I just want like empty space. So there was an album that moved me a lot, and I don't think it came out was it last year? Did you guys listen to this Sufjan Stevens album, this Carrie and Lowell?
No, I have not listened to it.
Yeah, that album killed me. That was like I heard it. I heard the first song, and I didn't get past the first song for about 4 hours. I listened to that first song over and over and over for about 4 hours. I was the whole bus from Reykjavik to Keflavik, and then I listened to the rest of the album. So that album, I thought was the best album I had heard in a long time. And I think when you realize what the whole album is kind of about and the subject, that kind of topic is not easy for a songwriter to approach, something that personal, and to write so well about it.
Okay. What's the name of the album again?
It's Carrie and Lowell.
Okay.
Carrie and Lowell.
Yeah, but that album actually, at some point I was working on stuff with beats and I listened to that album and it reminded me, some of the sounds and textures, it reminded me more of the first album I had made.
Okay.
And I thought, maybe I just need to get back to this because it moved me so much. I was like, maybe I don't need to worry about this kind of stuff. I just need to get back to like the meat and potatoes, like the guts of it, like
right.
Yeah, but I didn't do that necessarily, but it did make me think, and then I had to stop listening to it, so I didn't try to make another album like that. But the beautiful thing with that album is you can't make that album. Like nobody can make this fucking album because of the subject that it's about.
Yeah.
This whole album, like you can't duplicate that album. It's impossible. It's not like trying to follow, like maybe there's a Radiohead album or something where there's like these sounds and the subject matter is a bit obscure. Like this is like you can't make this album unless you went through this.
Mm-hmm.
And you should read what it's about and read his interviews. He really
now I'm
he did a good
interested.
job. Yeah, great. It was a great album. So that one I think is the only one I can think of as of right now that's been really just
I'll
blown me
definitely
away.
look that up. That sounds very interesting. So thanks for that recommendation. Jay Costa from YouTube asks, the clicking sounds, you talked a bit about how you created the noises, but he asks, is there any meaning behind the clicking noises? Any reason in particular you decided the song should open with these clicking sounds?
No, I just, like I said, I hadn't cut my nails in a few days, and I scratched the speaker and I made this. And then I had a click, you know. And I just played it.
It's a spontaneous thing.
Yeah, because like I said, like you play it lower, it goes like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You play it higher, it's like real fast.
Gotcha.
So then I just found the two that worked, played it, entered it, and then it was also a dynamic towards building up to the beat, which eventually comes in, which is what I had. And originally, the song, after I did the first demo on acoustic guitar, I did a demo of it, and it had this beat the whole time. And then when we went in to record it, like to create some kind of dynamic in the song where it moved to the next part, we tried to find a way to have some kind of movement, and then the beat would drop, and then real drums come in the third part. So it's 3 parts. Because then when the bum 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 happens, like you can hear the real drums come in. Like,
okay.
So it's just a build into the 3 sections.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. Final question I have, and this is something that a lot of people have asked, is just, have you played any sort of video game? Anyone that you particularly recall that maybe spoke to you?
I have.
Okay.
I was just talking about the other day, and I was actually I've been staying since I've been in Mexico City. Half of the time I've been staying out in the mountains. And I think what people don't know about Mexico City is it's really, really green. There's a lot of trees, and the forest and mountains are really, really close, and it gets really beautiful out there. And somebody had a Nintendo 64.
Good old N64.
But I fucking couldn't get to work, and they had I think the last game I remember ever completing was Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
Nice.
That's a great game.
And so they had that, and they had they had James Bond.
007 GoldenEye.
Yeah. But then the Mario Kart on that is fucking badass, right?
Yes, it is.
So,
amazing.
So that's the last system that I remember, like really being like I want a Nintendo 64. I can. Nowadays, I guess maybe like because I gave up so early, everything seems like it has too many buttons or different things. But I felt like the controller was great, and like it was just it was a great system.
Like if you can use a Nintendo 64 controller, you can use any controller ever.
Man, that was a great controller, huh? And so I'd actually like to get that system, but yeah, it was good to see, but it didn't work, and so that was a bummer. But PlayStation, as far as that, I had a PlayStation. I got PlayStation. I played like Tony Hawk at first.
Tony Hawk.
But I remember one time. This is a funny story. The last time I remember playing PlayStation, I was like 19. No, this is bullshit. That wasn't the last system I had. But I was 19. I don't even know why I'm telling you this. But I was 19. And I took mushrooms for the first time, and I couldn't do a kickflip. I kept falling, like the guy kept falling, and I was just sitting there in his chair.
Tony Hawk.
And everybody else was outside, like running around doing their thing, and I just like did a kickflip, and I paused it, so it was like mid kickflip, and I just stared at the screen for like 45 minutes. And my friend's mom came downstairs and she asked me if I was okay. Wow. That's the last time I remember playing PlayStation.
Did the kickflip land in the
I don't know. I don't even remember. I think I just left it, and then I went upstairs and did something. And then I remember I went upstairs and my friends were all playing basketball, but my truck was parked in in the basketball area, so they were just throwing the basketball and it was bouncing all over my truck, and they were in the bed of my truck, and then they asked me Ryan, can you move your truck? And I got in my car, and all I was going to do is just back it up so they could play. And I looked at my steering wheel, and it started going whoa, 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 and I just got out of my car and went back inside. Yeah.
Awesome gaming
Sorry,
story.
I think that was the first time I told the joke story. But I don't do it all the time.
Exclusive to the codec.
I only did them twice in my life, but that was the first time. So
That's fine. It's okay.
and it's okay. I told my parents that I did it, so they're the only ones that I would be worried about hearing, and they don't care.
That sounds like fun.
Oh man.
Well, is there any other questions we have?
That is it for me. So
Okay.
Alright,
I
cool.
think that completes our questions, right?
Awesome. Yeah, I think most of the ones that we had in the live chat, I think they are pretty similar to the ones that you actually got.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a good time, man. I had a great time talking to you. We learned a lot of fun information. Guys, give them a follow. Down here, you can see their Twitter. It's right below his picture. It's at Low Roar on Twitter, and then you can obviously, as he said earlier, follow him on Facebook and Instagram as well. Just Google search Low Roar, and you'll have no problem finding them. Anything else for him before he leaves, Ronan?
No, that's it. But I do appreciate you joining us today. Definitely got some great insight about what went into the music that you made and how you met Kojima. I thought that was awesome, and of course the story about video games was also hilarious as well. A great way to start this episode off. So thank you for joining us for that. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. And keep doing what you do, man. Your music's awesome.
Absolutely.
It's very unique, very interesting, and I'm really glad to have found your music, and I can't wait for your new album.
Thanks.
And
It'll be soon. So yeah,
Awesome.
You'll hear it soon.
Awesome, and
All right,
that
guys,
release date is gonna keep me awake.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know. Maybe we can work out something. I can send you an early thing.
All right.
We'll see.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
right? There we go.
That's
Okay.
pretty cool.
Well, have a good rest of your day, man, and then
Yeah, man.
enjoy the rest of your work week that you got
All right,
coming up.
you too, guys. Take care.
Have a good
Later.
one. Bye.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our interview with the lead singer of Low Roar. It's pretty interesting. I was definitely a little worried about the content we were going to have from a singer, but it was good. I liked it. It was
I mean,
fun.
this wasn't the first time we've had a musician on the show, though. So
Well, definitely not. But Rika's more video game
Metal Gear
focused.
related.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
with Donna Burke, I guess, who's the singer.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This was interesting. A lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
It was
Very
insightful.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot
absolutely.
of cool stories. I definitely enjoyed that meeting Kojima bit. It sounds, showing up to that fancy restaurant and t-shirts and they're just the classic stuff that you come to expect from him. But I think,
we shouldn't be here. We're not. I don't think we fit into this place.
right. How about the coincidences on the album
I know.
to the game?
That is insane.
I mean,
Yeah.
John, I know, you being the theorist, man. I know when you first saw this, you had to think there was some connection.
No, it's just the cosmos sometimes likes to
Well,
fuck
yeah,
with you, is what it
weird.
is.
It's weird.
Apparently they were just laughing about it that, it all turned out so, connected weirdly, although there's really no connection. Although, I mean, the theory, the theorists, no matter what you say to them, they're still going to come up with their
Of
theories,
course.
right?
Definitely.
He seemed to be telling the truth about the fact that, he didn't have a budget. He just had a robot draw his face on a frickin' piece of paper and with lines and whatever. And that looks
man.
like strands, like in the Death Stranding,
Right.
And the I'll Keep Coming song just happens to be in that very album that has the strands,
Yep,
the
and
album
the
cover with the
zero
strands, and the zero and the
yeah.
phantoms, and it's this world, man.
Right?
Yeah.
That's definitely
Crazy shit
unique.
sometimes, yeah.
Well,
But,
originally, guys, I thought this interview was going to be a lot shorter, so I had originally planned to have some viewers come on and talk to us about some stuff from earlier throughout the year. But since this interview is over an hour, I think we'll move that to the next show that we do It's just a long show already, so we'll definitely want to let you guys get out of here. But for those of you who are interested on that, keep up with us on Twitter. It's at @the_codec. It's not listed up here right now because my boxes I got a new layout, so my boxes are off. But at @the_codec, if you're interested in coming on the show, tweet at us. Let us know you're interested in coming on the show and talking to us about maybe a subject that you disagree with, or maybe you have an opinion on a theory or something like that from earlier this year. We'd be happy to talk to you guys next week when we have a little bit more time. But let's recap what everybody's been doing. Young, we haven't had you on the show in a while. It's good to finally have you back.
Absolutely, welcome back.
Good to be back. Yeah, I've been a little busy. I made this little Fallout 4 machinima.
I saw that out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, one day I woke up and I'm like, I want to make this. I don't know why, but I just feel like I need to make this, and I just decided to make it and kept myself busy there. I've been releasing some, like Metal Gear news here and there, like the community manager is just sort of trying to keep fans like calm and letting them know that there's stuff on the horizon. And of course, Stranding. Whatever news comes out for that, I try to cover it, and other games as well. No Man's Sky came out recently, and I did a review for that.
I saw that.
So, yeah, it's
you weren't. I mean, you were 50-50 on it, kinda from what I took.
It's 50-50. It's not. It's just too shallow to make up for all the immenseness. That is, like, the universe is absolutely amazing. The concept is awesome, and the seamlessness of the universe is incredible, but there's just not too much to do within that universe. Or, like, the stuff you do also becomes so repetitive that it just... You play a few hours, and it feels like you've seen everything, despite the fact that the universe is so big.
We're close to seeing anything, right? Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it. Ron, I'm interested to see where what your opinion on it is. Maybe that's what we'll close out on. But I've been playing.
Mine's going to be long-winded. I know that.
I've been playing it for a couple hours, and I think it obviously got overhyped. It definitely did.
Yeah.
People knew this. Some people did. Some people didn't. Some people thought they were getting
people knew, this is
grandiose.
People thought they were getting what Destiny was supposed to be.
Yeah, no, that's not ever what I thought it was. I even talked to you about it a little bit, Ronan. Like, I understand kind of what it is, and I'm having fun with it so far, but I feel like I'm definitely on that path that Young's talking about, where I think it can get repetitive if you don't enjoy that, like, mining and gathering kind of stuff, because that's really where the bulk of it is. I know it does have some combat, but the bulk of it, like, it wants you to mine, it wants you to trade. That's kind of what it wants you to do, but it's like we do have some combat kind of, you want that. But I feel like if you go in expecting more than what's there, you're going to be very disappointed. But I do see where over time it definitely has the potential to grow. Like, I think if they added some like colonization mechanics, something like that would be really cool, where you could upkeep your planets and your colonies, and then the trading and stuff would make sense, and it would feel more,
definitely
useful if you were trading and to make colonies grow. But
the game just feels like a very cool experiment more than anything.
Right.
That still has to develop a bit more to become a deep, in-depth game, but it's interesting. I'm glad it got made, because it's so unique in terms of just, again, the seamless universe is so unlike anything out there. So but it needs more, and hopefully if there's a No Man's Sky 2, they will improve upon what's established here. Because they've got a good foundation. Yeah. It needs more.
And I heard in an interview that I watched just recently that they did with PlayStation Magazine, I think, or whatever the PlayStation YouTube channel is called. But the guy was talking about, it wasn't the guy that's normally there. I forget what his name is.
Sean?
Yeah, it wasn't Sean. It was somebody else. It was the guy whoever wrote the algorithm. Is that Sean?
I don't know who that is.
Whoever
was who wrote the algorithm.
Whoever like the programmer is that made up that stuff, he was talking about how there's not really going to be real DLC for it. They're not going to put in like a new creature or whatever, nothing like that.
Right.
But they're looking at implementing gameplay mechanics as their patches and DLC, which that leads me to believe it can definitely grow, and it's definitely going to improve. Just a matter of how fast can you do it. Can you ride your hype train and extend it by a couple cars so you don't derail, kind of thing, to put it in a metaphorical train wreck. But Ronan, what do you think about it, man? I know this is one you've been looking forward to for a long time, so let's hear it.
I have, and mostly because I wanted to see a game like this exist in a world where games like this are so few and far between. Like, this isn't a new concept in the gaming industry, but there's not enough of it out there.
Right.
And
not executed like this.
Not executed like this at all. And there's a lot of games that are treading along this line, like let's say an Elite Dangerous, for example.
Right.
But the way they plan on doing this is such a time-consuming and thought-out thing that we may not even see what they have planned by the time, we die. They said it was, like right now their plan is over a 10-year thing, but I'm sure they're going to keep implementing that as it goes on, and it's just not going to be enough. So for me, what No Man's Sky is it's this thing where they do try to put you in this almost isolated universe or galaxy, for example, where you feel like you're the only person out there that's trying to survive. And that's understandable. There's a lot of games out there that are doing that. But for me, as the developers, and this was mostly Sean, because he's been the one that's been on the interviews for the most part for this game over the past several years, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. He's always been trying to quell expectations because he knew once this thing got debuted, which it did at the VGX Awards in 2013, that the hype levels would go through the roof.
Yeah.
Right.
And for the most part, it stayed at a pretty reasonable amount, but then it kind of it blew up. And that was not because he overhyped it or because PlayStation overhyped it, but because the gamers themselves overhyped it.
Yeah.
And what made me see what people were going to react to this game about was the minute I saw a forum where people were saying that, oh yeah, I expect this thing to be what Destiny was supposed to be. And I'm like, that's not what they're trying to make here.
Yeah,
so I knew
think
disappointment was on the horizon because of things like that.
Yeah.
But
it's one of the few times that you can say that the fans overhyped the game and not, the PR company that's marketing
the fans totally overhyped it. And I understand people are upset about the multiplayer aspect because the messaging on that wasn't 100% clear.
No.
The director of the game, Sean, he kept saying that, multiplayer would be hard to do because the universe is so large and your chances of finding other players are very slim. But he didn't say that there wasn't any multiplayer in the game. He just said your chance of finding another player was too low. Until like the day before the game comes out, where he says it's not a multiplayer game, but by then people's expectations were way too high. So people are calling him a liar because of that. They're saying the game is no man's lie because of that. But
one man's lie.
Or one man's lie. Yeah, one man's lie. That's the one. And it's insane. Wow. But I can understand people's.
So it's confirmed that there's no multiplayer.
There isn't any right now, but who knows? That could change in a later update, as you said, they're adding more mechanics to it and so on. So who knows where that might go?
Yeah, like two people actually met at one point.
I saw that
the day after the game came out, and they couldn't see each other.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
The thing is it even possible? Because if you think about it, there's no character model for. Exactly. Like, I don't think they know what your characters look like. I think that's part of the intrigue where you're not, where you're just this person. It could be anybody or something. I don't know. But it's just, there's no physical character model for whoever you're playing. Yeah, at all. There's no mirror where you can see who you are.
You're just a floating multi-tool for the most part throughout the game.
Exactly.
In that article that you're talking about, the one where the two players met up, they reference an interview where he said the only way for you to tell what you look like is for another player to describe it to you.
Yeah.
And if there's no real multiplayer, I feel like they thought that by the time people were going to find each other, that they would have their multiplayer lobbies system kind of
that, or it was like the chances were so slim that they didn't really think it was going to be a thing that would happen too much, or this soon on top of that, considering. So here's the thing that kind of happened as this game came out. Like, they had, a set number of what they estimated the players would find things at and stuff like that. But when the game came out, they were talking about numbers over Twitter about how it was almost quadruple what they expected when the game came out. Before the game even came out, there was like 150,000 discoveries already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was way higher than what they were anticipating before the game even came out. So things are going at an exponential rate, and who knows, we might just hit that 14 quintillion planets or whatever it was that he discussed at the same time. But the rate at which this is happening is that something that they did not expect, and there's no way to do that in the gaming industry as a whole.
I've been playing for a couple hours, and I've been to one planet and one moon. That's it. That's it. So I mean, at this rate,
like while you're out there naming your planets, like I let my chat name.
I was gonna ask if you named something,
and it's been a total nightmare, like you would expect. But that's the point. But
did you name anything, Young?
What?
Have you been naming your planets?
I tried, but then I made a spelling error, and then I hit done by accident, and I got pissed, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm not naming things anymore. And I can't rename it.
I did that too.
I wish they would actually allow you to just fix or rename your things, but once you upload it, it's set. So it's like, I got this really stupid, like, 5-year-old looking name that just floating out there.
You should name the Galaxy typo.
I had a viewer that decided to give one of the creatures I found a really elaborate, like almost human-like name. He was like Ricardo Monta, like something like that. And I got the first part Ricardo in there, and then I hit upload by accident. It was just the Ricardo name by itself.
Well,
so I said, screw that. I'm just gonna name him. I'm gonna name this one Ricardo, and the second one the last name. They'll just be that. Like you can't say I didn't do it at least. But it's hard to gauge a game like this because
the game's obviously fun.
It's fun, but that's I feel like this game brings up a bigger issue about game development as a whole, because this is a small team. It's like 15 people.
Yeah.
There is no way in hell these 15 people are going to create this giant galaxy of fresh, new variety every time you go to a new planet. That's impossible. And not just because the team is so small, but because human emotions are unpredictable. Yeah. You cannot gauge that, and you cannot make sure that people are amused and entertained all the time. That's just that's the sad reality about it all. So the fact that people are disappointed about the fact that there's not enough variety, that's understandable, but
we are also very shallow as well, I gotta say.
No, we are as a race, we're pretty shallow. We have high expectations most of the time.
Right, but, and it's physically in the game. I want to also point that out is, it's only been out. It got wipes.
It got wiped twice. That was before it came out officially.
Right. Okay. So you got to also keep in mind that I don't think anybody's near the Galaxy Core yet. So that's.
I mean, there was one guy who did it before the patch.
Claims he did. Yeah. I don't know about that guy. But regardless, we as like the community have not got there yet. At least I think you PS4 guys, because Young, you got on PS4.
Yes.
I'm sure you guys got a little bit of a head start on us PC players, but I think maybe the saving grace might be the deeper you go, maybe some bigger and better things open up, and maybe that's what they're hoping is.
That's what the idea is, they say. But it depends on how far people have gotten to actually see that just yet. I know I haven't gotten that far into it to see it, so I can't make any claims on that. But that's what they claim. They claim things get, as I quote, they say things get more surreal. Now, I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but I guess we'll find that out if we ever get closer to the center of the galaxy as a whole. But yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I understand people's disappointment with it, but I kind of knew what this was going to be going into it because I had played games that were similar to this concept, and I knew where the limitations would be, and they are like for like the exact same limitations and issues that people have, because it's impossible to do that with a game that's procedurally generated and you have no control over what's being generated.
Yeah, we said this right at the end of the last interview with Jason.
There's just too much copy and paste though in this game. Like, it doesn't feel like, I'm fine if like after like 20 hours then you kind of start seeing some repetitive things, but you start seeing the same sort of things within the first couple hours. Like, all the buildings look exactly the same in every planet. Right. All the aliens, you go through the same step. You talk to them, you like guess what dialogue choice it will please them, and then they'll give you like a reward, and that's it. Like, they don't really say anything compelling. The copy and paste pattern you can see from the get-go, and that's my problem with it. I expected it to have like repetitive, because it's procedurally generated. You can't make infinite combinations. Like, it's just not possible to eventually. Input. Yeah, eventually you're going to start to see a pattern. It's just, in this game, in No Man's Sky, you see it way too early. It takes like a couple hours, and then you're like, oh, wait, I've already seen that building before. I've seen that plant. It's a different color, but I've definitely seen that.
That's what I'm trying to get
they
at.
needed more variety, more depth in terms of like speaking to the aliens. I wish they had a little more, just more to say. The gunplay is just kind of average.
Oh yeah,
like,
the gunplay is definitely bad. Like because they had to patch and fix that as the new update came up before the game came out, and it feels a little bit better, but it still feels pretty bad.
Yeah, it's just they just needed to go a little. I don't know, just like an extra step further. Just every mechanic feels a little half-baked.
Gotcha.
As like a jack of all trades, but a master of none kind of situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, man. I think
that's the hard part about that, because you look at that, but that's one of the downsides of procedural generation. It doesn't matter how many parts or how many assets you put into a game. You're going to get those situations where you see the same thing over and over and over again within the first hour, within the first 20 minutes. Some people may have seen different things within that combination, within that same time frame, but you have no control over that. And that's one of the issues that comes with this type of algorithm for video games, is that there are good sides, there are downsides. The downsides being that, hell, you might see the same monster on 8 different planets you go to. You might see that same tree on 8 different planets you go to. But because the team is so small, they only have so many people to put assets into the game to do that.
Yeah.
Now, this could change as time goes on. As they said, they plan on adding more updates, more mechanics, more stuff like that. So we don't really know where it's going to go from here, but as it stands currently, this is all they could do for now.
Yeah, it's just one building structure seems too, like, it literally is just like every settlement is arranged exactly the same way. Like there's
like little
outposts.
The outposts are the same.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally exactly the same, every single one of them, and that's my biggest problem. It's not like we see 5 variations of this one thing. We see this one thing just spread across the entire 18 trillion quintillion planets. Instead of seeing, at least like 10 or 20 variations of a specific thing. We see one variation of every single thing, whether it be a settlement or an abandoned building. Every abandoned building looks the same. Every beacon looks the same. Every settlement looks the same. It's not like there's 5 variations of settlements, 5 variations of abandoned buildings. It's just one of everything, and then copied and pasted. Okay. That's too little variation.
And for me, I had an experience where there was somebody else, but I had a situation where everything I found in these abandoned buildings are mostly multi-tool upgrades. I'm hearing about everybody finding things like ship upgrades and stuff like that. I'm like, why is my luck so bad? What's going on with my game for the reason why this isn't happening for me? So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that going on too. And that's part of the negatives of when it comes to No Man's Sky and the way it handles stuff like this, is that there's too few of it, but the stuff that's there and the stuff that you should be doing, like you've seen a lot of it before, and it tends to turn your experience around for different people because of the fact that it's so common, or things aren't controlled in that sense. And it's one of the trials that we have to overcome in video gaming, and it may be one that we never overcome. You never really know, because you would need a team of an infinite number of people to make sure that stuff is always what it is all the time. But it's just. For right now, it's what it is, and I understand people that don't really like it because of things like that. And like they said, this game was not going to be for everyone, and that's understandable. But
definitely,
it's here now. It exists.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the people that like the idea give it some more time, because what I feel like they've done, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe they've said that this is not how they do it, but what I feel like they do is I feel like it's a layered system. I feel like maybe for the first 100 planets that you're going to explore, it's layer 1 of combination, like rarity levels. It's the most common. And then the farther you go into the game, the deeper you go, the deeper you get towards the galaxy core, you might see some more rare things, or maybe some variations with settlements, maybe a different alien species or something. But I feel like right now we're just on the very tip-top crust layer of what this game is. And it's only when we get closer where we're going to see, okay, now we're 200 planets in, and we're still seeing the same Dilophosaurus with the little arms like this and the spine.
There is a game that does that. There is a game that does this. I don't know what you're talking about. Starbound. It does exactly what you are saying. It divides up the planets you visit and the systems you visit into tiers. And while it does provide some variety, because you see different things at certain tiers, even then you get to a point where you're seeing the same thing over and over and
Right.
over again.
I'm
So
just
that
hoping
problem
No
is
Man's
still
Sky
a
will
constant thing that
maybe
seems to be
improve.
hard to address.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to kind of end our discussion. We got obviously just some mixed opinions. Obviously, we all have hope for No Man's Sky that it will continue to grow and get better, because I think we all can agree we like the base idea, but only time will tell. So yeah, next week, guys, I'm pretty sure we have Keith Davidoff should be confirming that. Either the end of the day today or the beginning of Monday. I'll let you guys know via Twitter, and obviously I'll let you guys know here on Skype if Keith David will be joining us. I'm pretty sure he's coming. He was in London this last week, and so he couldn't make it today, which was perfect to have Low Roar on today, or else we would have nobody. And so that worked out perfectly. So thank you to Yong for organizing that.
Absolutely.
Much appreciated. And as I said, welcome back to the show, man. It was good to have you on and get your thoughts and opinions on stuff. But yeah, tune in to us next week, guys. We've got plenty of more interviews coming up. We've got a list after Keith David. You guys will have seen it on the loading screen earlier. We have got a lot of guests lined up. We just had Jason Spizak last week. If you missed that, or maybe you're just tuning in, you're a new viewer, you can check our YouTube channel. It's FraggedNation, FRAGGED Nation, on YouTube to check out that interview. And the week before that, we had Morla Goradana, who is in Destiny. I know Ronan missed that one because he had shit weather, but I
was sick apparently.
Yeah,
during that one. I was
sick because of thunderstorms. But we had her on from Destiny and Call of Duty. So we've had a couple voice actors on. If you missed it, check it out on the channel, and give my co-hosts a follow at Yong Ya, at KorruptRonin. Show them some love on their respective channels, and I think it's time to say goodbye, Ronan.
All right, well, thanks for watching, guys, and another thanks to Ryan and Low Roar for joining us today. We definitely appreciate all the insight he gave us, and thank you to the fans for tuning in. We definitely appreciate your support as well and hanging out with us throughout this extended episode of the show. And all of our discussions and stuff like that. And be sure to give my co-host here a follow on Twitter, YouTube, things like that, and on Hitbox as well. And you guys know where to find me on top of that, so be sure to give me a follow if you can, or if you want to, that is. But in the meantime, you guys stay classy, stay sharp, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and I'll see you next time.
And Yong?
Well, once again, everybody, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this interview with the lead singer of Low Roar. I certainly did. A lot of cool insight. That release date's going to keep me up. Let's hear your guesses in the comments below. And to be further updated on all things gaming, follow the Codec, follow KorruptRonin and myself. And with that, I will see you guys next time. Yong out.
See you guys.